Hey, welcome to Playoff Central Live, presented by AT&T. Nabil Kareem alongside Udonis Haslem and Vince Carter. We got complete post-game coverage coming up here on NBA TV. How do we be polite about this one? Not the prettiest game.
You ain't got to be polite. We just got to tell the truth.
Tell them the truth, then. What was this game like? Because if you take away that run that Golden State made in that third quarter, they were down, 7 with about 6 minutes to go. It was pretty ugly.
We understand what Steph brings to this team, so we're going to give him some grace. Mm-hmm. We're going to give him some grace. The ball finds energy. It's no coincidence that Steph has been playing the way he has been playing. They have been finding him. They have been looking for him, so I'm sure that's an adjustment. But with that being said, it kind of looked like one of those games where you said, we got one, and then we did what we came to do. So earlier we talked about in the playoffs how teams get greedy when they get one, like the New York Knicks. You try to go get another one. But a lot of teams in this NBA go on the road and you get one game, you've stolen home court, and you kind of lay an egg that second game. That's not the first time we've seen that happen. I've been on teams that have done that. So I know what it feels like when you get one on the road in a playoff series.
It just felt like Golden State couldn't run their offense at all.
And the fear that I had was I wanted to see an aggressive Jimmy Butler.
Called it.
And that was my fear because, yes, he's a facilitator, and they needed the aggressive Jimmy Butler. 13 shots. Yes, he had 17 points, I think, 7 rebounds, only on 13 shots. For me, it's not enough. But they're going to have to find a way. I think you got some good things out of it. Jonathan Kuminga, one guy who I said this is one of the guys I think who needed to have a big game, as well as Moses Moody, who didn't have a great game, but he didn't have a great game at all, 0 for 5. But Jimmy's going to have to just step outside of the box. And we talk about playoff Jimmy, and we know what that means and what comes with it. But you mentioned something that I thought about, and you're like, yes, he finds matchups, and he catches you when you make some mistakes. I think Jimmy Butler has to be that guy that goes out there and plays carefree, and if you turn it over, you turn it over. Yeah. But they need an aggressive downhill. There's a lot of shots tonight, just like you, frustrated me. He gets in the paint and does not look at the rim. Yes. They need him to score and attempt shots.
You mentioned Jonathan Kuminga, and that might be the big thing coming out of this game for Golden State. Obviously, he's been out of the rotation, playing, sparse minutes as far as the playoffs have been concerned. But in this game, he gave them a spark. He was a big reason why they came within 7.
Yes, he played 26 minutes, 18 points, but a big third quarter. Yes, I think that was 3 for 4, 1 for 1 from 3, and it's just him being an athlete. And more than anything, finding his confidence, being aggressive, but showing his athleticism. We know he's so athletic. Here he's in the dunker spot, but calling for the ball. Everybody's above the free throw line. You see a matchup that you like, so what do you do? Attack the matchup. Don't settle. He did not settle. Being aggressive, being an athlete. Hey, he's a shot blocker, defensive player of the year if you would. Attack him if you can. Here's another one. Backdoor, making the right read. Nothing's there. But just opportunity, but ready to shoot. Catches the ball, zero hesitation. That's important. Zero hesitation. And that's the Jonathan Kuminga we've seen, we've loved, we know that he has. And I think he's earned himself a spot to be in that starting unit. I know they started the young guy post. Particularly, I would have started Looney, a guy with some experience, and played some minutes with the post. But now I think Kevon Looney has earned the right and I think shown your organization he's back. He's confident. This is a confident game for him. Yes, they lost the game, but you gained something in this loss.
And to piggyback off what you said earlier before we started that game, I think the veterans had that leadership conversation with Kuminga because there's no way if he's not fully engaged mentally that he comes out and plays the way he plays. So the Draymond Greens, the Steph Currys, the Jimmy Butlers, those guys have been in his ear making sure he stayed encouraged. And that way he was able to seize this moment that he had tonight. So I'm happy for him. And there is something that you can work with moving forward. Yeah.
The Timberwolves shot 43% from 3 in this game. They got their mojo going again, 16-37. I mean, that's going to be a problem for the Golden State Warriors moving forward if they can't get better on their closeouts.
No. I mean, this is what the Timberwolves do. They shoot the ball from three-point range. They shoot at a high clip. They shoot it very well. They didn't shoot it that well the first game, but that was a lot of Ant-Man. 1 for 6, not being able to get the ball to go in the hole. You can get in the paint. You can draw 2. You can spray and get shots for other guys. Also, Dante DiVincenzo got it going tonight. He was a guy who is ignitable, and we needed him to get going. Jaden McDaniels is getting it going. Everybody is getting shots. And if you look at all those shots were open shots, which means somebody was getting in the paint, creating an advantage, getting somebody an open look.
From the Warriors side of things, can you pick something out? Because Steve Kerr said coming into this game, I'm going to play a lot of different guys. We're going to look at different combinations here. Was there anything that stood out as a positive? Besides Kuminga, there's a couple of performances, but is there anything, Vince, that stands out to you, says, okay, we can carry this over to game 3?
I'm going to also throw another name out there, Trayce Davis. Here's another big, right? What you said, no rim protection. He's a young guy, but here's a big that got some valuable minutes, played pretty good basketball. He only played 5 minutes, 6 points. But it's confidence, and it needs to be led by Jimmy Butler.
Yes.
First and foremost, I think he's the guy that just needs to be aggressive, and he will ignite a lot of things because Jimmy's ability, we've talked about it ad nauseum once Jimmy got there, his ability to get his squad into the penalty. And how does that happen? He's being aggressive, and he's able to manipulate plays, draw fouls, which is important, which gets some of your guys easy baskets. So I think they're going to need guys like Trayce Jackson, Kuminga, like we talked about. Moses Moody has to have a better game. And then Podziemski, who's very capable, didn't have a great game, but he didn't mark at all. But, like, those are guys that have to find ways to score. But I think Jimmy Butler makes that happen. So going back home, when your role players play better, I'm expecting them to have a better game 3.
You know, on the flip side of things, when we talk about Minnesota and this balanced effort from their team, I think before the game, and quote me, correct me if I'm wrong, but you said this is the best you've seen Julius, or the most comfortable you've seen Julius Randle's game. And tonight was another example.
The best version of Julius Randle I have seen in these situations in playoff moments. And we talk about right here. He comes up, they pin down for him. He gets the ball against Jimmy Butler. Not an easy defender to go against. Goes right to the step back. That's an easy shot for a left hand to get to your right hand step back, create a little space, and then get your shot off. Right here, he sees the matchup. He's letting him know early, I got a mismatch right here, so just let me get the ball and go to work. Goes baseline. He sees the help come. He fakes back because they know he's left-handed. He goes back to the right with the spin cycle. Smaller defender, we're not going to let him off the hook. Right now, we get at the top of the key. We got the pick and roll. Roll into the basket. I don't get the ball, but once again, there's a smaller defender on me. I'm going to get the offensive rebound. Julius Randle is one guy in this situation, in this series. He's going to have an advantage every single time. If you're going to put a big guy on him, he can go around him and use his skill set. If you're going to put a small guy on him, he can beat him up down there in the post, get 2 feet in the paint. He can either score or he can make a play from somebody. Right now, I'm seeing the clearest mind that Julius Randle has played with right now. There's no hesitation. There's no questioning. He's playing full speed ahead, and every decision that he makes, he's very confident in that decision.
Also had a season-high 11 assists.
Exactly what I was going to say. Not only was he not settling, not letting guys off the hook, punishing them in situations, whether it's free throw line, in the post, wherever the situation may be, he was also making the right play. Now, when you demand those double teams because you're punishing guys in the post, you spray the ball out to guys getting open shots for DiVincenzo, McDaniels, and so on and so forth. So Ant-Man's not playing well. Well, he has a guy that he can rely on. And I said before, maybe Julius Randle's not the number 1 guy anymore. He's a very darn good number 2 guy.
Damn sure was, because all that happened when Ant-Man went out.
Correct.
You can go to that guy and be comfortable and confident that he's going to get you buckets.
So a huge win for the Timberwolves. Ant-Man coming back, which is huge for them, finished with 20 points. Let's hear from Chris Finch right now, who's at the podium.
Chris, did you just kind of see a little bit more of the intensity, especially defensively tonight, that you wanted to?
Absolutely. I mean, we looked a lot more like ourselves. Obviously, the start was great for us. That's what we needed. Set the tone. I thought we were pretty consistent there with everything other than the beginning of the second half. Because other than that, it was exactly the response that we needed.
Does this series feel like one that's going to have to be won on the defensive end, just kind of like just by buckling down that way?
I think for sure. I think both teams are really committed to defense, but we for sure have to take all the easy baskets out of the game, and I think try to figure out a few other things I think that they're doing as you do in a series and it goes along. But, of course, defense is going to be huge. So
the message, the third quarter there when they cut it to 7, called timeout. What were the things that you were looking for them to get back to at that point?
Yeah, taking care of the ball. We had like 3 or 4 sloppy turnovers, just real sloppy turnovers. And then just got kind of loose on the other end and soft there. with some of our kind of communication and our switches. So, but mostly it was just turnovers, you know. So, guys were frustrated, but we refocused pretty quickly. So.
Julius had, I think, 10 assists by the end of the third quarter. Just what did you see from him that enabled him to really find a good balance between scoring and playmaking tonight?
Great all-around game from him, just what we needed. You know, we've said that when he's playing that way, takes us to another level. And, guys obviously made shots, but we generated really good shots, and that's the key. You know, what can you consistently do? Consistently we're able to get better looks, and I thought we missed a lot of good open ones too, but we were able to keep finding a rhythm. I thought we played with much better rhythm tonight offensively. Our spacing was better. I think that allowed us to see some of the plays that were to be made. So.
Chris, do you just expect Amp to jump back up at this point?
Yeah, this one I was really worried about, actually. I thought, there's lots of ways that being an elite athlete pay off, and being able to shake those things off certainly is one of them. But this one I was really planning on not seeing him the rest of the game, to be honest with you. So,
Chris, what did you think of Ant's offensive game tonight?
Yeah, I thought he was good. I mean, he stayed patient. They threw a bunch of different looks at him, whether they trapped him, whether they boxed and won him at one point. They switched heavy on him. They tried to send him to certain parts of the floor. I thought he did a really good job. He stayed aggressive getting downhill. Got to the free throw line a little bit. Shot the ball well when it came to him. So I thought he played a really good game offensively within the flow of what we're trying to do. He had 5 assists, but probably could have had some more. So.
Chris, you mentioned frustrations. Was there some with Julius in the third quarter there, and just how was shaking it out there?
Yeah, I just think just had to settle back down and play. And give him a minute to think about things and get regrouped. And he came back in and, was awesome. So
10 made threes and 40 points from your bench. What did they give you?
Yeah, I mean, Nikhil was huge, of course. We really needed this game from him. We challenged him yesterday to be able to contribute like this, like he has all season. I thought those guys came in. Again, we got really clean looks for them. They were super confident and knocked them down, respaced the floor really quickly. Our bench was, massive, and we feel that's a strength for us. And when it, bears out like this, it makes us, that much tougher. So.
You mentioned the quality of the looks there. What was better about the process of how you were generating?
Our spacing. It just literally came down to spacing. I thought it was better. So.
You and Mike both referenced multiple driving kicks.
Yeah.
You had a lot of that tonight.
Yeah.
You think that's one of the ways to generate rhythm?
Yeah, I think
rather
so.
than just having it be like a one kick out?
I think they do. Well, they do a really good job of shutting you down on the initial kick outs. So a lot of times you have to try to, find another shot. They rotate so well and they cover so much ground quickly, and their fly around game is amongst the best in the league. So yeah, it kind of forces you to be ready to make another play.
And then both game 1 and game 2, Jaden has been really, really consistent. It seems steady in terms of what he's doing. Is that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Play? I mean, not a lot of rebounds or assists, but blocks and steals.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, again, I think is Swiss Army knife defensively for us. So there's a bunch of matchups that he can take here that we like him on. And, he just moves effortlessly, whether it's guarding a pick and roll, guarding the screener, guarding the, handler, playing off, chasing guys. He just does it all so well. Yeah. So.
What different preparation did you go through to get ready after a tough loss, and then also preparing to play like a rotation of 14 guys?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was just looking at the film and, trying to recognize how poor we were and a lot of things that we talked about that we needed to do from a game plan point. We left game one. We weren't even sure whether the game plan worked or not because we didn't feel like, we kind of put enough into it. And so we started there and, I thought these guys came into the series with a way different level of intensity than we did. So we had to, get that where it needed to be. And we knew that this was a pivotal game in the series. As, these things unfold, every game kind of takes on a different meaning. But for us, this game was huge. So, recognizing that was important.
Chris, you mentioned challenging Nickeil. Why do you feel like his production is so important for you guys?
Yeah, well, first of all, he has the ability to do a lot of different things, and a lot of it, for me, starts with his ability to knock down shots. I think we just, we needed him to just take a deep breath, and just kind of stay ready and confident. I thought he had turned down some shots, over the last few games. We can't have that. And then everything flows from there for him, his creation, his ability to attack the basket, all that. We need him. We need his ability to guard multiple guys. We need his size, his length, his toughness. And, so it was really important to get him a game like this.
Coach, no rebounds, no rings. They out-rebounded you again. How is that possible?
Yeah, they beat us to a lot of long rebounds on the offensive glass. So, something we got to continue to to look at. Yeah.
Chris, you've mentioned before that his offense has been a measure of ball movement.
Excuse me.
But is that something that Nickeil has kind of maybe slid into?
I'm sorry, I missed the beginning of that. Jaden.
Yeah, you mentioned Jaden's offense before has been kind of a measure of flow and ball movement. Is that something that Nickeil has kind of eased into a little bit?
Yeah, yes and no. I think everybody benefits when you have good ball movement, you have really good flow. I think with Nickeil, we play him on the ball a lot. And for that, I think it's just, keeping it simple, getting us into our stuff, and then staying ready to play his game when the ball comes back to him, which hopefully it does. Then after he makes a few plays, then he can be a little bit more aggressive for himself. You see that. But yeah, I think both are true. I think he's definitely plays better when we have a good flow, and he's not looking to have to force himself into the offense. But thanks.
All right, just getting started here on Playoff Central Live. On the other side of the break, we'll get the Warriors side of the story. Steve Kerr, Draymond Green coming to the podium. All right, let's get to the full highlights of Game 2 here. Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves looking for that bounce-back game. No Steph Curry for the foreseeable future, out at least a week. Julius Randle, though, he was there.
Not settling. Just the three-point shot is there, but he said, no, I'm going to play bully ball. You in my way, running you over.
How about Anthony Edwards going downhill?
Love when he gets down here early. Yeah, playing inside out. You know what I'm saying? Getting in the paint first and then settling for the three-point shot later on in the game after you got to get rhythm.
So tough.
Nas Reed getting the bucket, then at the other end.
Oh. Man, come on.
Draymond would get a technical. Thoughts? Any thoughts on that?
The ball went to the right. Draymond's elbow went to the left.
Yeah.
So, hey.
Yeah, physics, it didn't really work out. You know what I'm saying?
He has to be careful because they're going to need him. Exactly.
100%. Getting kind of close to that threshold.
And also with Steph being out, they need your leadership. They need you on the floor and they need your leadership. So take it easy.
This is a big moment in the game. Trayce Davis coming down on Anthony Edwards' left ankle. He was helped to the locker room. That did not look good. Remember, that's the same ankle that LeBron James had fallen on in the first round. But this is Ant-Man. And he was bouncing around at halftime. He was just fine. Jonathan Kuminga.
Kuminga's side.
Yeah. This is a young man that has the ability, and he showed it tonight.
Listen, the Warriors went on a 16-6 run here. They cut it to 7, and we're like, okay, we might have a game here. However, Minnesota,
that's so tough.
Too good.
That's so tough.
Great defense, and it just the ball movement. It was just stagnant, and they got themselves deep into the clock where they were taking contested threes, late into the clock.
More Julius Randle right here.
Listen, and he only took, if I'm not mistaken, only made 1 3-pointer tonight. Yeah. So he took 4, but he only made 1, which shows that he made an effort to get into the paint and not settle. He has an advantage every time.
That's Anthony Edwards looking just fine.
So does he.
Yeah. In the end, 117-93. So Minnesota tying up this series. Julius Randle leading the way with 24 points. Let's hear from Steve Kerr and his perspective on this one.
Yeah, Steve, obviously a tough start, but can you gain things from like the second quarter on, especially that third quarter? And what do you think, lessons learned or just things you picked up from that?
Well, I think part of the game plan coming in was to play a lot of people. And we did. I think we played 13, 14 people in the first half. And part of the reasoning is, obviously the fatigue of, the run we've been on with all the travel and the games. But part of it also is we have to figure out what we're going to be able to do in this series without Steph. And so we gave a lot of people a lot of chances. And then, some guys really stepped up. Trayce and JK were both really good in this game. You could see that their athleticism was important. And I thought we made a really spirited run. Got it to 7, and then we just kind of lost a little bit of composure. We turned it over right out of that timeout a couple of times and gave up a couple of threes where we lost connection defensively. But we learned a lot, and I think this game will help us figure out, how to move forward.
You mentioned the experimentation. How much, as you head towards Game 3, do you need to then quickly pare it down? And how much of what you saw tonight, particularly from Trayce and Kuminga, makes you believe that they have to be heavy?
I mean, those guys really performed well and showed why they can help us win this series. So they're going to be part of it for sure. We've got to figure out rotations, who we want to start, all that stuff. But both guys are going to play a role.
Steve, what did you learn tonight of how you can play through Jimmy and also the defensive attention that he got as well without Steph on the floor?
I mean, I didn't learn anything that I didn't already know. Jimmy, you can always play through Jimmy. He's a great isolation player, great passer, and it's more about figuring out, who to put around him and who's going to be playing, in Game 3, what our rotation is going to look like, because it's not as simple as, Steph's out, so we just replace him with one person. The domino effect of Steph being out led to Trayce playing tonight because we need the scoring, we need the finishing, and you saw what he did out there. Same thing with JK. We had found a formula over the last couple of months, and obviously we're having a lot of success. But without Steph, the formula completely goes out the window, and we've got to figure out the next formula.
Steve, can you talk about Steph's presence on the bench? And at one point when Draymond was getting heated, he went over and kind of calmed him down, and he seemed like he was talking a lot. You had said he was going to be like a coaching presence. Yeah. Was he?
He was great. I mean, he sat a couple seats down. We talked a couple times during the game, and he was talking to all the players. And yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what he was saying to the guys, but it's very, very comforting having him on that bench for our guys.
Following up on that Draymond moment, what would you describe sort of what you saw happen? And it looked like you took him out because you could see he was getting heated.
Yeah, I could see, he had gotten pretty upset, and I just didn't want him to get another technical. So I took him out at that point, and I know he's going to have to be careful now. He's, is he 2 techs away?
5 techs and 2 flagrants, and so 7 and 4.
So two more techs, he'll be suspended.
Or 2 more flagrants, right?
Yeah. So he's going to have to stay composed. Obviously, we need him. And I'm confident that he will, because he knows the circumstances.
Were you frustrated or disappointed, given how poised he's been the last couple games? How much he seemed to lose it a little bit tonight?
It's part of Draymond, the same thing that makes him such a competitor and a winner, puts him over the top sometimes. And We know that, and it's our job to try to help him stay poised, stay composed. But the competition is so meaningful to him that occasionally he goes over the line.
Steve. All right, we move on to Julius Randle at 24 points, 11 assists, and 7 rebounds in the win.
Julius, you had 10 over here to your left. You had 10 assists by the end of the third quarter. Just what was the key for you finding the right balance between scoring and playmaking tonight that maybe opened up for you as opposed to game one?
I think that was just something I looked at on film. I felt like I made, some pretty good reads last game. We just all were in a funk. And today we were in a little bit of a better rhythm, obviously, but I felt like sometimes, last game I might have overpassed when I got to my spots and could have looked to score. And, so I tried to have a little bit of balance for both. But, credit to our guys, our team, man. Everybody knocked down shots. They were in the right place like they were last game. We just made shots.
Julius, how rare is it to see a team use like 13, 14 guys in a playoff series and had like a revolving door coming in and out of there in that game? You guys have to get used to different guys. How rare is that in a playoff series?
It's rare, but at the end of the day, it's also Steve Kerr. He's kind of done that all year. If you watch their team and hats off to him. He has every guy on their bench prepared and ready to play. So you really got to be locked into the scouting report and know what each player does. Just know their tendencies because he's not afraid to use anybody on his bench.
Julius, it was really night and day last game versus this game. Do you guys feel like you were overconfident at all last game, especially coming off such a great win against the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors struggling?
No, I don't think we were overconfident. I think we were rusty. This is not the team to be overconfident versus. They're a championship team. They have championship DNA. We've said that from the beginning. So if we want to win this series, we're going to have to, take every game seriously, and we're going to have to win every game. It's not going to be handed to us. So we know who they are and what they're about from top to bottom. And, we just got to continue to, put ourselves in a position to win because they're not going to beat themselves.
Julius, what does it do for you guys when Nikhil is knocking down shots the way he was tonight?
It does exactly what it did tonight. It opens the game up, opens the floor up. Kill, he's a huge part of our team. He has been all year. Obviously he's, struggled a little bit with his shot, but he does so many different things for our team, other than just shooting the ball intangibles. And, he works his butt off every single day. He's the first one in the gym every single day. So when somebody works like that, it's only a matter of time before things turn around. And, he stays, true to who he is and continues to work and has a game like, he had tonight. So hopefully he can keep building on it because when he does that, like I said, it's huge for our team.
Julius, you've been matched up with Draymond in the regular season and in the postseason a lot. What kind of mental makeup does it take going in knowing a guy that plays defense as well as he is, but also is kind of a provocateur, trying to get inside your head, inside of the team's head?
I don't know. I got a lot of respect for Dre. What he's done in his career, just who he is as a player, and what he means to that team. So I've never really experienced any of that. With him, there's always been a mutual respect, between us. But no matter who it is, I try to focus on our team. I don't really try to focus on the other player, what the opposing team is doing necessarily when it comes to those things.
What do you have to do to have success against him when you're matched up with him?
You just got to make him work, on both ends of the floor. He's, obviously a gifted passer and playmaker on the offensive end on the floor. So you got to make him work. And then defensively, he's all over the floor. So, just continue to, try to, make him work, put him in multiple actions, run the floor, crouch the glass, anything to make him exert, a high amount of energy. He's no different than any other great player in this league.
Julius, Coach Finch said before the game he felt like the team was stewing in game one, as in unhappy, but he kind of liked that you guys were. What was kind of the last just 2 days like, mood wise, going through practice, going through shoot around, and the way you guys wanted to bounce back tonight?
Yeah, he cussed us out pretty well. Yeah, he was unhappy, and he let us know he was unhappy, and we felt that. But we were pretty motivated as a team, and the thing I like about Finch is personally for myself, he can coach me hard, and I might not like it in the moment or whatever it is, but I love that he can challenge me like that. The other day we were in the film room, he challenged me multiple times on things that he saw from an effort standpoint. So I want to make a point to come out and prove and play with a high amount of energy, high amount of effort, and respond to that challenge, not really necessarily take it personal. Yeah, absolutely. I just had to get that out. I had to get that out. For me, being frustrated. Obviously, he was frustrated. Start the quarter myself personally for with 2 turnovers and whatever was going on with our team. And me being a competitor, I want to stay out there, kind of right the ship. But it didn't necessarily go like that. But I was a little hot, but. Just for me personally, that's just another way that he challenges me. And, I wanted to come back in when I came back in and just channel that energy for a good way and a positive way for our team. And, that's what I tried to do.
Julius, had to ask, you spotted Michael Irvin out there in the crowd. You smiled. What's your relationship like with him?
Yeah, that's my guy. I've known Mike since I was 14 or 15 years old. Me being a Dallas kid, a Dallas native, a huge Cowboys fan. Growing up watching Mike, growing up watching primetime Deion. I used to play with Deion's son. So I used to go to Deion's house all the time, and he was a great mentor of mine at a young age. And then Mike, I went to school with his son in high school. So he used to come to my games in high school and be around all the time. So I've known Mike, forever. So that's like family. And, for him to come to Minnesota and come to a game, that's a pretty cool thing, pretty big deal. So, it was amazing seeing him.
Julius, you had a lot of matchup advantages on the offensive end tonight. When you guys are playing at the rhythm that you are, what's kind of your decision-making process in initiating ball movement or just decisively going to the rim?
I just read what the defense is doing. It's pretty simple, to be honest. If they're going to double team me or, play in the gaps and, create for my teammate and, just be patient in that. And if they're not going to do that, take my time and play me one-on-one, then, get to the lane, make a shot. If my teammates have the ball, just move on the offensive end, find open spots and, spot up, shoot threes and, just catch my rhythm like that. So I just try to simplify the game and make it easy as possible for myself and my teammates.
Julius, Ant was talking about the effort and the energy that Mike Conley was playing with. He set the tone tonight. Can you just talk about what that means to get that type of energy and tone setter from, the lead vet on the team and just what it basically exudes, because he's been on the court. He's making all the plays defensively. He's over there yelling at you guys on the bench. He's getting into it. What does that do for you guys mentally and physically?
It's great. It's great. He's to be 50 years old and still come out and defend and play with the effort that he does. And I've talked all year about the leader that he is for our team and how he just kind of keeps us balanced. Him. Joe Ingles, those guys are guys that you don't necessarily, it might not even show up in the box sheet and Mike, it might not necessarily show all the time and numbers and all that different type of stuff, but who he is for our team as far as a veteran, how he's able to, pull me to the side, how Joe's able to pull me to the side in a moment like that when I'm frustrated in the third quarter and, keep me level-headed, let me get my frustration out, but keep me level-headed and know that, all right, when we get back in the game, go to work, and, keep the main thing. And, he keeps me focused. So, those guys are huge for our team, and a lot of the stuff that they do goes unnoticed, or you guys, because you're watching the game, you might not necessarily know, but, behind closed doors, on the bench, on the plane, those guys are huge for us. Yeah.
Check this out. Julius Randle, the first Wolf since KG, the 25-10 playoff game. That's pretty good company right there.
Yeah, damn good company. Got to win the series, though.
True.
Damn good
That's
company.
a good point.
It's a good stat, but we ain't looking for stats right now. We're looking for dubs. You got to win the series.
Now, they may have lost, but Jonathan Kuminga, small victory for him, confidence-wise anyways. Dude. Hey, Jonathan Kuminga stepping up in a big way in this Game 2 loss for the Golden State Warriors when you look at what he's done in the playoffs so far in limited minutes, coming up big here and forcing Steve Kerr's hand maybe, like Vince, like you said, maybe a starting role in next game. Here he is right now at the podium.
So obviously you get minutes. You go 8 for 8 to start. Did you feel like you were back into some sort of rhythm? Did you feel like you were really into the playoffs?
Yeah, I think once I came out for the first couple minutes and I went back and I feel like, the confidence just came back, especially knowing us the way we started wasn't that great, Pretty much everybody else had to step up and we just went out there and just tried to compete. And I think everything just fell in line.
Can you describe that baseline drive dunk over Gobert?
I think, I don't know, a lot of people didn't see it, but Draymond hit me, and I was trying to find Jimmy, and Jimmy was like, go. Because once he saw Gobert on me, it was just like, go. And I was like, wow, this is the moment. Might as well just make something good happen. And I think, just having Draymond and Jimmy telling me to go, that's a big trust, and they just had to make something happen.
How much easier is it for you to get in that type of offensive rhythm with more minutes?
I think everything just come back, together. As long as you stay out there and you know who you playing with, just having that rhythm, breaking the sweat and just staying locked in, the rhythm kind of come back, slowly.
What has been your process for staying ready over the past month or so?
Working out, watching film, staying strong mentally, just those three, and I think just being a good teammate, that's the biggest things, that keeps me ready.
You said Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green were telling you go at Gobert. Well, how have the veterans helped you stay ready through this process?
No, I think, I don't know, maybe some of them been through this. I feel like some of them been through, the ups and downs. Not just playing, just like, sometimes your things going well or not going well. And just them seeing the matchup I had, and it was a broken play. And just both of them telling me to just go, it just gave me more confidence.
I mean, without Steph, even Steve said it's different. The formula is different. Did you figure you would have a larger role? Do you have to have a larger role, you think, without Steph?
I think back then I had it here and there, when we didn't have Steph. But, I wasn't focused on that, really. I was just focusing on just coming in there, it don't matter how many minutes I get to just find a way to impact. And I end up getting, 26 minutes. But I wasn't going out there expecting to have so many minutes. Just anytime my name get called, because I know one of these days my name was going to be called, and just go out there and just impact. Makes the best out of it.
You spent a lot of time.
All right, we move on to Jimmy Butler here, who had 17 points in the Game 2 loss.
What are some lessons you can learn from a game like this where it's kind of experimental? Steve's trying a bunch of different combinations out there.
Experimental or not, I still would like to win. But I think the biggest lesson is don't start off in a hole like we did tonight. In a game, maybe could have ended up a little bit differently, but it's hard to climb out of that hole.
What did you see from J.K. and Trayce tonight in their minutes?
Some talented pros. Pros always being ready, doing whatever you ask them to do, and doing it at a high level on both sides of the ball.
I think he said on that Kuminga on that baseline drive dunk on Gobert, you told him go, just go.
Attack.
What were you seeing? With Gobert on him.
Attack. We need as many individuals attacking as we can. If you get in there and nobody helps, score. If you get in there and somebody helps, pass the ball to the open guy. And a lot of the times whenever you get into the paint, it's wide open to go in there and get a bucket.
Obviously, I mean, Kerr said it. It's obvious. It's so different without Steph. You have to kind of figure out a new formula. What is it you think? What could it be without Steph?
It's going to be a lot more attacking and hitting the open guy and attacking again. It's everybody knows it's difficult to recreate or even get close to doing what he does. But we're going to have to find a way. So we go to the tapes, talk about it, and execute it to the best of our abilities.
Steve said part of the plan tonight was not overtaxing you or Draymond. I think you finished at around 34 minutes. As this series shifts back, but it restarts quickly. How do you feel right now? And do you feel like it wasn't that much of a tax tonight?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. I get to rest. We get to take a flight back, sleep in our own beds, get some recovery. Dominoes, coffee, kids, doesn't change, and get ready to compete again.
Are you still feeling the foam from
for sure. But believe it or not, domino, coffees, and kids make it all better.
Jimmy, you're always kind of assessing and figuring out things. As you were feeling out tonight without Steph, were there some things that you might figure out that's going to work to your advantage?
Be aggressive. Maybe even a little bit more aggressive than normal. And I'm playing the same way. My guys is open. I'm passing it. I don't care what nobody says. And I'm a live and die with us as a unit, us as a whole.
Aggressive meaning you're looking to score more?
No. Aggressive, like get in the paint, make plays for everybody. I feel like whenever I'm doing that, it makes everybody else's job easier. They know when to shoot the ball on catch and shoots. They know when to play out of closeouts. When I'm in attack mode, it automatically places them in attack mode.
Jimmy, when you missed the game against Houston, you were a very active participant on the bench and kind of another coach. Did you see that from Steph? What did you see from Steph?
Yeah, talking the game, what he sees, what we should be doing on both sides of the ball. And even though he's not out there, he still expects us and wants us to win. So as often as he's telling us, hey, this guy needs to be here, and on defense, this is what everybody needs to be doing, we got to listen, because he's seeing it, firsthand, a lot of stuff that everybody else can't see. So he's definitely still out there on the bench with us.
Jimmy, I know you don't pay much attention to what's out there, but just so you can know, everybody's expecting this massive thing, this reputation of playoff Jimmy. What is that like living under that that burden or expectation?
I don't have a burden or expectation. I don't. I play basketball the right way. I will continue to play basketball the right way. If that time comes where, you're people that are saying whatever, supposed to score 40 or 43, whatever the case may be, I'm capable of it. I can do it. But I love making sure that my guys are comfortable, passing the ball to them, taking the right shots at the right time. But we'll talk about it. If that may be needed, who knows?
Jimmy, what did you see on the play where Draymond got the technical, and you obviously heard what he said in the locker room? He's at 5 technicals now, and 7 is a suspension. Is that something you're concerned about?
No, I think he knows. We all know. I thought he got fouled, and maybe he's trying to sell the call. Somebody got hit, but it's crazy. Every time he does something, it's always a review, and it always ends up being something of that nature. But like you said, he got 5. He knows he got 5, so he knows how much we need him now more than ever. So I don't think he gets a 7.
He very clearly thinks his reputation, is costing him.
For sure.
What do you think about that?
I mean, I'm in agreement. It ain't like he's doing it on purpose. He's trying to sell a call or something like that, and somebody just get hit.
Jimmy, you mentioned you might have to be more assertive.
did seem like some of your best offense tonight was you kind of as the creator, the playmaker. Could you sense that? And maybe that has to be a little bit more of a path forward with you taking more initiative to set up others?
Yeah, for sure. Get the ball, attack. But like I said, it's not always about scoring. Whenever I attack and create help and get the ball to the right people, they know what to do with the ball. I think that's most important. Somebody closing out, you get the shooter, you get to drive that closeout. If I'm not getting into the paint, I think it confuses my guys more than anything.
We've all seen the stats with you and JK. The minutes weren't real good, but you mentioned attacking. What would it be work with two attackers? You mentioned Kuminga can do that. How might that benefit this team?
I mean, he's a great basketball player. I can play with anybody. He can play with anybody. It's all about playing basketball the right way. That's all it is. Attack to score, attack to pass. You just make the right play over and over and over again every single time, no matter who you're out there with. Just play basketball the right way. And me and JK could thrive, can and will thrive together on the basketball floor.
Jimmy, one more Draymond question. He's obviously been so good the last couple of games. And I know he's essential to this team anyway. But how is that magnified with Steph out? I mean, people talk about the offensive burden on you, but Draymond's been playing with Steph forever, obviously.
He'll be all right. You know, we all miss Steph, not just Dre. And Dre's going to continue to do what he does on the offensive side of the ball, shoot the ball when he's open, get the ball where the ball needs to go, set incredible screens. And, of course, he's going to do what he does on the defensive side of the ball, challenge shots at the rim, tell everybody their coverage, let everybody know what's going to go on. Not too much changes. You know, if anything, he's going to step it up a notch. He's being incredibly vocal, more vocal than normal, and he has to be because we don't have our number one guy out there. But he knows how important he is. It's not going to change for him either.
Do you feel Steve was pretty honest, and Draymond was too, about how he lost his poise in Game 6 and obviously came back and kept it the last two games? And given what happened tonight, do you feel any need as a fellow veteran to remind him or reinforce what needs to be done?
He's a grown man. He knows how important he is to this squad, how important every game is, and how important it is that he needs to be out there. So you don't need to tell him nothing. He's very capable and he's very observant of that. He knows.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jimmy.
All right, that was Jimmy Butler. Hey, Game 3 of the series going on Saturday. VC and UD will preview that when Playoff Central Live continues.
Look like the angry black man. I'm not an angry black man. I'm a very successful, educated black man with a great family. And I'm great at basketball. I'm great at what I do. The agenda to try to keep making me look like an angry black man is crazy. I'm sick of it. It's ridiculous.
All right, so that was Draymond Green after the game. Usually he does these long press conferences, but that's all he said after the game. I'll give you a chance to respond to what he said there.
I agree with him. He is a very successful, educated black man, and he's a hell of a basketball player. But emotions are high right now. They lost the game. He probably didn't play the way he would like to. He got a technical foul that he didn't think he deserved. So he's a little frustrated right now. I'm going to give him that. Yeah, I've been in that position before, so I understand his frustration. But what I will say is we're not going to judge Draymond Green the person, Draymond the person, because the Draymond the person is a very educated black man who is successful and takes care of his family. Mm-hmm. So we're not going to judge him as a person. But in that situation, he's frustrated with how the game went. High intensity, playoff situation. He's been here before. Who knows how many more opportunities him and Steph is going to get at this. I give him that.
Yeah, it's just one of those instances. They did lose the game. You know, he knows they're going to ask about the technical and so on and so forth. He's frustrated, so he got it off his chest, and we kind of move on.
Right. But he did slap the hell out of him. He slapped the hell out. He got him good now. He got him good now.
Yeah. You talk about looking ahead. Let's take a look at the series schedule here. Game 3 going on Saturday, and it's going to be interesting because when you look at this one. And Saturday, 8:30 Eastern. For Golden State, they got to figure some things out. Steve Kerr was saying, we got to figure out the right combinations. But Vince, I point back to what you said earlier on, Jonathan Kuminga and the performance he had. I mean, are you looking for him to be a starter in that game? And what kind of impact could he have?
I would think, you would start him because you need offense. You need some scoring. He's also very capable defensively. Mm-hmm. With your switchable defense, and he can guard. He's pretty solid 1 through 5. He can guard all of the positions. Mm-hmm. And I think now you can maybe take Jimmy Butler off of Gobert now. But he doesn't have to guard Gobert. And so Jimmy Butler can be more aggressive offensively. So I think Kuminga brings a lot to the table. I think Trayce Jackson gives you another big as well. So you can kind of rotate your bigs on Gobert as well as Julius Randle. So game 3, I expect an adjustment. I think we're going to see an aggressive – listening to Jimmy Butler talk, I think we'll see an aggressive Jimmy Butler offensively as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and also we talked about Kevon Looney. You know, he didn't get very many minutes tonight. And, you know, Jackson is the lob threat, but Looney is the lunch pail hard hat guy.
Yes,
he's the guy that's going to hit somebody. He's going to hit first. He's going to get offensive rebounds. He's going to do the physical things. So maybe not a large amount of minutes, but whatever minutes you get, we need you to be lighting in the bottle. We need you to win those minutes for us.
What about for the T-Wolves? Is it like status quo, or is there something they can improve on?
Business as usual. You want to go and get one. Your confidence is riding high. I think at the end of the day, you just want Ant Edwards to continue to be aggressive. When he's aggressive, everything opens up for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah, I'm with you. Business as usual. Tonight they had 54 points in the paint. They made 16 threes. They averaged 15 threes, so they played their game. They did lose the rebounding battle, but when you win by 25, 30 points, we're not going to count that against them.
Correct.
I continue to believe that, like you said, the role players, they got some confidence tonight. DiVincenzo, Naj Reid. So I believe it's business as usual. I think it is a close game, but I think Minnesota pulls it out at the end as well.
We didn't even talk about Nickeil Alexander-Walker. 20 points in this game.
Another
huge
role
night.
player that
Chris
played
Finch
well.
said he challenged him, and he comes through 4 of 6 from 3. So Minnesota winning this one. That's all for us. We'll be back tomorrow. 2 more games. We got Cleveland, Indiana, OKC, and Denver. See you then.